The moment the uniformed crew member pointed toward the exit, the entire cabin seemed to hold its breath, as if the airplane itself knew something terrible was about to happen. A black passenger who had boarded quietly, taken his seat politely, and done everything right was now being forced off the plane under the cold glare of dozens of watching eyes. Phones trembled in hands. Whispers spread like electricity through the aisles. What should have been an ordinary flight turned into a moment that would change lives, shatter reputations, and cost an airline far more than it ever imagined. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what's right, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel so more powerful stories like this can reach the world. He had arrived early that morning with the quiet confidence of someone who knew the value of preparation. His clothes were neat, his bag carefully packed, his ticket confirmed twice on his phone before he even reached security. This flight mattered to him. It was carrying him toward a moment he had worked years to reach, one that could change his family's future. As he settled into his seat, he felt the familiar mix of nerves and hope that comes with important journeys. Around him, passengers laughed softly, adjusted pillows, and prepared for takeoff, unaware that beneath this calm surface, something ugly was about to unfold. The first sign was the look he received from a flight attendant passing by. It lingered just a second too long, sharp and assessing, before sliding away. He noticed it but told himself not to overthink it, a habit learned through years of choosing peace over confrontation. Minutes later, another crew member approached, asking him to step aside. The reason given was vague, wrapped in official-sounding words that explained nothing at all. Confusion spread through his chest as he looked around, seeing other passengers remain untouched, unbothered. His heart began to race, not with anger, but with a familiar, sinking fear. As the situation escalated, the cabin grew tense. The request became an order. The order became public. He was now standing in the aisle, eyes burning, dignity slipping away as every movement was watched and judged. He complied, not because he agreed, but because years of experience had taught him the cost of resistance. As he walked off the plane, the door closing behind him felt less like a physical barrier and more like a symbol of how easily respect could be taken away. Inside the terminal, the noise of rolling suitcases and boarding announcements blurred into a dull roar as humiliation settled heavy on his shoulders. What the airline didn't know was that this man carried more than a boarding pass in his pocket. He carried years of discipline, resilience, and a reputation built quietly through integrity and hard work. He had faced obstacles before, but never one so public, so demeaning, and so unnecessary. Standing there alone, he felt anger rise, then something stronger replaced it, resolve. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply documented everything, each detail etched into memory, each second recorded by the cameras others had already raised. By the time the plane took off without him, videos had already begun circulating. The internet did what it does best when injustice is undeniable. Clips spread across platforms, slowed down, replayed, analyzed. Viewers saw not just a man removed from a plane, but the quiet pain in his posture, the forced calm, the weight of being judged without cause. Comments poured in from strangers who recognized the look in his eyes because they had worn it themselves. Journalists started calling. Advocacy groups began asking questions. The airline's silence only made the noise louder. Behind closed doors, executives scrambled. Statements were drafted and redrafted, each version more polished but less sincere. Apologies were issued that spoke of policies and procedures rather than people. Meanwhile, the man at the center of it all sat at home, surrounded by family, finally allowing himself to feel what he had held back. He wasn't just thinking about himself anymore. He was thinking about every person who had been made to feel small, invisible, or disposable in spaces where they had every right to belong. Then came the consequences. Sponsors began to distance themselves. Stock prices dipped as public trust eroded. Lawsuits emerged, not just from him, but from others emboldened by his courage to come forward with their own stories. Investigations revealed patterns the airline could no longer deny. Training programs were exposed as shallow. Accountability was demanded, loudly and persistently. What had started as one forced removal became a reckoning that reached boardrooms and shareholders alike. Through it all, he chose a path that surprised many. Instead of disappearing, he spoke calmly, clearly, and with purpose. He talked about dignity, about fairness, about the simple desire to be treated as human. He didn't ask for revenge, he asked for change. His words resonated because they weren't fueled by bitterness, but by hope that something better could grow from the pain. Slowly, policies were rewritten. Leadership changed. The airline paid a price not just in money, but in reputation, trust, and the hard lesson that actions echo far beyond a single flight. Near the end of this story, as the dust settled and headlines moved on, what remained was something quieter but more powerful. A man who refused to let humiliation define him had turned a moment of injustice into a catalyst for accountability. He reminded millions that dignity is not something granted by uniforms or corporations, but something inherent, something worth defending even when your voice shakes. If this story touched your heart, if it made you feel anger, hope, or determination, please take a moment to engage with this video so stories like this continue to be heard. Before the ending, leave a comment sharing your thoughts or a similar experience, because your voice matters more than you think. The plane he never boarded became the flight that lifted a conversation worldwide, proving that when injustice is exposed to the light, even the most powerful institutions can be forced to change.